Hi, my name is Lindy Jung. I am a science fiction and fantasy writer, and it is a little bit early for me, so I might be stumbling over my words a little bit, just a heads up. I've done writing vlogs in the past, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different. This is a challenge writing vlog, so writing vlog on hard mode, if you will. And I'm going to try to write 500 words every hour for 12 hours. This is a 12-hour write-a-thon. I 100% swiped this idea from a video of Sincerely V's that I saw a while back. Because I've been like losing a handle on my writing productivity a little bit in the past week or so, I figured it'd be a good way to catch up. Ultimately, my goal is to write 6,000 words today. 500 words every hour for 12 hours is going to yield 6,000 words. Hopefully I can overshoot that a little bit, but we'll see. I don't want to push myself too hard because 6,000 words in a day is already a lot. Yeah, I feel like in the past, I have a tendency to sort of shoot for the moon, you know, go really above and beyond in terms of my goals and not reach them and feel sort of shitty about it, even though I went above and beyond with my goals personally so I could hit a more impressive target by pushing myself. I don't know if that made any sense. But today we're gonna be a little bit more chill about it, and I feel like 500 words for me is very doable. That's basically one 15-minute sprint. I'm going to start at 9 a.m. It is currently 8:30, so I got a little bit of time to catch you guys up on what I've been working on. I am preparing an adult dark academia fantasy set in Paris at a school for alchemists. There's a murder mystery involved and lots of backstabbing, ambitious grad students. It's an ensemble cast, but it's one point of view, third person. I really like this project. I feel like it touches on a lot of dark themes. It's not the first adult project I've worked on, but it's the first one I feel pretty sure that I will end up going on sub with, because my historical fantasy that I was working on previously, I just was not ready to tackle in a lot of ways. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be working on today. I'm still sort of like in the first act leading up to the second act, so I'm about to hit that sort of shift into act 2 the moment that everything changes, and I'm really excited to write those scenes because they are pretty intense. I have been skipping around a little bit in this draft, which I will try not to do, but if I have to hit that word count goal, I might. Let's see, I've got maybe 3 chapters written so far and around 7,000 words in this draft. I will be keeping track of my progress with the Excel spreadsheet that I've been using just to tabulate word count throughout the year. That pretty much catches you guys up. I think I'm gonna do a little bit more prep. I have a video that I'm going to schedule for upload, so I'll write the description for that and have that ready to go basically. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just waiting around until 9 o'clock so I can get started on this challenge. I will update you guys pretty much every hour and do some little like slice of life things in between maybe. Oh, breakfast. I should probably eat breakfast. Well, I'll catch you guys up in a little bit and see you soon. Okay, hey, so I'm holding on my camera because the lighting situation has gotten even more insane somehow, and it's not helping, obviously. It is currently 9:42, so my first hour is wrapping up. I've already hit 500 words. I crossed over a little into 559, and I'm going to keep writing, but also sort of look back at what I've written so far. These words are flowing pretty good. I am very rapidly approaching that not inciting incident, but like break into 2. And I am about to introduce the love interest, which is really fun for me. Yeah, I'm having a good time. I feel like honestly today will be kind of easy. I've been thinking about the story a lot and not working on it so much, so I have all this like built up writing energy and inspiration and scenes that I want to write in me. So it's gonna be hopefully smooth sailing. I know it's still early, so I don't want to jinx anything, but we are definitely getting there. Okay, so I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. I want to take you guys with a little update. I am on hour 3, so it's about to hit 12. I just cut off my 11 o'clock hour a little early because I hit 616 words already. I've done 2 sprints so far, and I'm averaging at around 600-ish words per hour block, which obviously is really good. But I am losing a little steam. I am like kind of already hitting a point of I don't want to write every hour today, but you know what? We're gonna just keep pushing through. I'm already 25% of the way through, so we're just gotta keep going. Why did I kind of just now realize this sucks? Yeah, so it's going. I'm still hitting my word count goals. It's about to hit lunchtime and I'm hungry and I kind of don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll try not to be like too melodramatic throughout this, although maybe that'll be entertaining. I don't know. I'm just like full of regret right now. I just realized I have 9 more hours of this, which is kind of a lot. I don't know. 12 hours is kind of a lot, y'all. And I usually do fun things in my day, like go outside and hang out with my family and cook and eat. And I can't really do any of that because even if I hit my 500 word count at the half-hour mark, I still kind of need to like keep writing and keep looking back at what I've written, which is usually garbage. Oh my god. I'm always like, no, I don't like doing word count heavy, focused. You know, I don't like to fixate on word count. I don't want to do that. I just want the writing to take me where it takes me. And yet here I am doing this. Oh, okay, so Lord help me, give me strength. I am going to do my hour 12 or 3rd or 4th hour. I don't even know. Yeah, so this will be hour 4. So once I'm done with this, I'll be a third of the way through. And then I'm going to eat some lunch because I love to eat. Oh my god, why have I done this to myself? Little afternoon update. It is coming up on 2 o'clock, which will be my 6th hour, which marks more or less the halfway point of this. And I just hit 10,000 words. I had my best writing hour last hour. I don't even know how to word that. With 983 words in the hour. That's interesting because I've been losing focus more and more. It's definitely challenging to keep up the word count. I've sort of resorted to going back to an older draft of this novel and sort of picking out pieces because I'm hitting the points where I'd written those like crucial moments in that old draft, so I'm able to sort of draw from it more. So the first act, or the first chunk of that first act that I'd been writing up until now for this draft was pretty different from what I'd written previously. But now that I'm hitting those points, I can like draw on it more, but then that's gonna end because I really only wrote like the first act and a little bit of the second act for that version that I'd written like sometime last year. And yeah, so I'm starting to have to rely on my outline more and more, which is like not a super complete outline. I do this thing where I outline the book and then I write a draft and I don't like the draft based on the outline, so I start drafting it again with changes. And for like the first draft, I'll call the first one a 0 draft. The first draft, I don't have an outline for it. That's kind of the case with this book. But it's also more of like, the plot sort of speaks for itself because it is more of a murder mystery, and then everything else is sort of like accoutrement, like additional details that I come up with as I go. I don't know if I'm like justifying this well enough. Basically, I don't really have a firm, super detailed outline for this book. I have a basic idea of what's going to happen based off of previous outlines, but those outlines, the details of those outlines don't work for this current version. A lot of this is sort of like a plantsing. Am I saying that right? Yeah, pantsing and plotter combined. I'm plantsing this draft, which is fine. I'm having a good time with it. I am finding this really enjoyable to write. I feel like the characters are finally coming to life for me. It just took a couple of failed drafts to really get them going. To talk a little bit about the characters, my main character is like a really awful person. She is so ambitious and high-strung and paranoid and thinks everyone's out to get her for a good reason. She has a backstory that sort of like makes that make sense. And then her 2 primary academic rivals are these 2 like guys, and one is just like so socially inept but really brilliant in his field, and the other one is very not socially inept, like very social, charming, etc., and doesn't really care so much about the ambitious part, or that's how it comes off. He's sort of like slacker genius energy. They're all super smart people. And then the 4th main character, who's just starting to make her entrance, is like straight up is like, I don't like this institution, I don't like any of this, I don't care, I'm not coming to class, like does not want anything to do with it, and it's a miracle that she's still enrolled. So we've got that sort of like collection of characters that all represent different facets of academic personalities, basically, from my experience. I have not, as of yet, entered into grad school, and I've only really dabbled in research a little bit, so it's an interesting exercise for me to come up with these types based off of, like, outside observation. Like, I have never been this very academically charged, ambitious person. Honestly, I don't consider myself very ambitious. I mean, I would say I'm ambitious with my writing. I think I always want to be, like, groundbreaking in the ways that I can be, and I want to always challenge myself and write new things and write creative things, and I don't want to do things that other people have done. And obviously I do want to be traditionally published at some point, but in terms of like my academics and my actual job, I'm like not. I'm not super keen on being very wealthy or renowned or any of that. So it is interesting. It's like a really interesting stretch to get to the head of this very, very driven, achievement-oriented female character, but I kind of love it because she is so toxic. Anyway, that's a little bit about the main characters of this. I just realized just now that the camera angle is kind of weird, but you know what? We're going for it. I'm about to start my next hour. I'm gonna tidy up a little bit because I was snacking, and now I do not want to be snacking because it makes my hands all gross. All right, I will update you guys in a little bit. Okay, hour number 6 is wrapping up. It's almost 3 o'clock. This was a 1,023 word hour for me, so, you know, I'm doing a lot better. I've realized that playing music as I write is actually a huge distraction because I just am not, I get more distracted. I find myself, when I'm listening to music, my mind sort of strays a little bit more, so I like open up social media, or I just look at my phone a lot more. So not playing music, which is kind of a bummer. I think I can maybe only listen to like pretty simple classical music, if that. Anything with lyrics is too distracting. I am feeling pretty good about what I've written so far. It helps that I've been able to take, like, usually I finish my 500 words in the first 30 minutes or so of the hour, and then I take a little bit of time to look back at what I've written and make any adjustments as necessary. This section of the book is just really fun to write. Of course, I'm moving into the Act 2 fun and games part, which is always a struggle for me. I did a whole video about it a while back, and nothing has changed. It's still hard. I wish I could listen to my own advice a little bit more. Maybe I'll revisit that video. But I wanted to talk about this, like, totally random thing. I was looking at Twitter. I saw a tweet that was like someone on my feed who was talking about basically every time she finishes a manuscript. I already lost the tweet, holy shit. But basically someone saying that every time they finish a manuscript, they get their friend who doesn't like to read things on a page, and they do like a 2-night slumber party basically, and eat snacks and read the manuscript and like talk about it. And so my primary sort of critique beta reader person is my best friend who lives very close to me. We grew up together, and I think this would be so fun. I mean, this is also a book set in France, so I could cook French food, it could be themed, I could just stay over at her apartment. I would not want to read my entire book out loud, but we could read it together, maybe print out copies and do notes and talk about it and discuss things. I feel like it's so helpful to me and powerful for me to have access to someone who I can like have an ongoing discussion with about the project, as opposed to like an edit letter and maybe a couple of messages back and forth. I really love that aspect of having this person as my reader, even though she doesn't write. So it's something that sounds really fun, and I would repay in food. Yeah, so that's what I've been thinking about, and now that I've said it, I can stop thinking about it and go back to writing, which is what I'm gonna do. But since I've got a couple extra minutes to kill, yeah, I have hit the incident. I'm like jumping around a little bit. Chapter 3 is almost finished in terms of it being a complete continuous narrative instead of different paragraphs that jump around between the scenes that are happening. So I'll probably try to wrap that up in this upcoming hour. And then after that, I can work on adding a little bit more meat to chapter 4, which is sort of where the actual stuff happens. Chapter 3 is like the beginning of the stuff that happens to set everything off, and chapter 4 is where everything gets set off. And then 5 is sort of the aftermath of that, taking a deep breath because we've re-entered this new world. Obviously, this point of the story, things are very, very different for our main characters. So we have to reestablish that and also take a break from the really high intensity of chapters 3 and 4. Interesting thing is, I'm kind of unsure of where to go in chapter 5. Like, after I've established the new world order, how am I going to go and move on? Like, keep the story going? I guess I could start with the characters sort of reconvening. Yeah, being like, hey, we're actively gonna figure out a solution to this problem, and we have to work together, even though we really don't trust each other or even like each other that much. So there is that, but I want that to happen in a natural way. I want there to be like something of an external push, because I feel like it's unrealistic at this point in the narrative for these characters to come to that conclusion on their own, because obviously they do not like or trust each other. They're all very suspicious of each other. There is one character who's sort of like the heart of the group, who I think might be more inclined to make that leap and to suggest working together, but he's going to be denied, of course, especially by the main character. That'll be tricky. It's going to be weird and hard to maybe pull that off in a natural way. And then as we move along, it's going to be weirder and harder for the different external conflicts to come into play. There's a couple of external conflicts that really relate to the main character's internal conflict that have to come into play, but they're not super related to. They're a consequence of the main plot happening, but they're not directly related to the main plot. So it's like kind of a subplot. I don't know. It's like weird to define these things. I'm like, these are story things. They're happening because the characters are living their lives and their actions are catching up with them. But yeah, I'll think on it a little bit more. For now, focusing on chapters 3 and 4 and then getting Act 1 nice and wrapped up so I can move on with my life, basically. I've been working on Act 1 of this book for what feels like 20 million years at this point, and I'm so glad that it's finally at a place where I feel good about it. Okay, so moving on. All right, it's currently just a scooch past 5:30 and I've wrapped up the 9th hour of this challenge, this 12-hour writing challenge. I also wanted to stop and do a little bit of a longer update because I more or less just kind of hit my 6,000 overall word count goal for the day. And I'm going to keep going until 9 because I feel like I can just get a lot more done. Today, I still have that like energy, which is really good. I'm not going to do a full wrap up, but I'm just going to sort of do some thoughts, like dispense some thoughts. So I have been pretty easily actually been able to hit that 500 word count per hour thing up until now. I will say I'm definitely slowing down a little bit. There were 2 hours right at my peak. I think my peak is sort of like the early afternoon, like mid-afternoon, 2 and 3 p.m. No, 1 o'clock and 2 p.m. I wrote close to or over 1,000 words for each of those hours. So I wrote like 2,000 words total, basically. Actually, I think I pretty much wrote 2,000 words total. And then ever since then, it's sort of been like a steady, gradual decline. So there's definitely like an upper limit. Like I do not think I could do this for more than 12 hours, and I do not think I could do this multiple days in a row, because personally as a writer, I just need that time to take a step back and rest and relax and think about what I'm writing or what I'm going to write. Like I know that these words are gonna need some pretty heavy revision. That being said, I am really proud of everything I've put out today. I feel like the story is really shaping up to be something that I really enjoy and I think is a fun time. I have honestly zero idea if this is like marketable or sellable, which I guess is stuff that I should think about. I mean, it's a dark academia adult fantasy book, but by the time it's properly finished, it probably like won't be as trendy to have dark academia books anymore. But I think it's kind of good, so that's all that really matters to me. I am trying to write this a little bit faster just because I haven't drafted a book in a really long time, like a couple years. I do want to get this done this year, and I think at the trajectory I've had so far this year, I think that's super realistic for me, honestly. I mean, it's still February. I have a really good foothold on Act 1. I'm moving into Act 2. Now that I have that idea for the reading party I'm going to do with my friend, I am super stoked on this. I want to get that done before October, basically. I am really bad at setting timeline goals for myself. I don't know when I'll finish drafting this book. I don't know if it'll be even like feasible for me to work on it consistently because I'm actually starting a new job in a week or so, a little bit less than a week, and I know that'll take up a lot of my time. I'm trying to put in as much as I can at this moment. But back around to how this has been going, I'm not going to do a full breakdown because I want to sort of like hit the natural end of this at 9 p.m. and then do my sort of wrap up, I guess. But I've been having a really good time with this. I think 500 words might have been a little low for me. I just tend to type fast, and also the fact that I have existing material to borrow off of has made things like a lot easier. And I think doing something like this once in a while is a really good way to get a lot done very quickly. Like I could see myself doing this toward the end of drafting this book, like the first draft. I could see myself trying to hit a goal like this for revisions time. I like revisions a lot more than drafting, if you couldn't tell. That's why I get stuck on drafts, because I don't enjoy it. I'm actually trying not to revise as I go too much. It's like a really, I wouldn't say a bad habit I have, because honestly revising as I go makes drafting slower, but it makes it result in a much cleaner draft, because my drafts are so heavily line edited and copy edited by the time they reach anyone else's eyeballs other than mine that they're pretty much like finished except for, of course, the like structural revisions I have to do, which is always frustrating. But I have like copy editing and line editing experience for things that are way more tedious than fiction novels. So I never really see those things as labor. I mean, they are labor. I do see them as labor, but they're not that hard for me. They're kind of just like second nature. And I think pretty much anyone who has like editing experience would say that. Like just going back and fixing grammatical mistakes or changing the wording to be a little smoother is just kind of like instinct. What else did I want to say? I think I had something else I wanted to say in this update, but I've completely forgotten what it is. Oh, I did eat 3 meals today. Some of them were like snacky meals, but that's still a win for me, especially on a day when I have to be doing something every hour, including my lunch hour. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to do but to keep plugging away, so I'm gonna keep doing that. There are 3 more hours left on the clock. We got this. Let's go. It's 8:40. I have officially spent the entire day writing. I just hit the 500 word mark for this most recent hour. So wrap up time, outro, and then I'm finally gonna shower and get ready for bed and do like things that I want to do. So just to sort of like round things out, to catch you guys up on what I've gotten done. The last couple hours I was like still going over 500, but not so much as I had previously. Like I was in the 600, mid 500s mark. And then my last hour I hit 534 words, and that took me around 30 minutes or so. All in all, today I clocked 8,004 words, which is 2,004 over my goal of 6,000, which is pretty good. I was consistently able to hit that 500 word count every hour, but it just got really draining after a while, and I can tell the quality of my words was really starting to fall off toward the end. Like I was definitely writing dialogue, no action, no description. This is a book that I've been striving to give sort of like a literary voice and tone and feel to, and it is not so much. So yeah, the quality of the writing did drop off a little bit, but that is what revision is for. What matters is that I got like 4 chapters locked down. I mean, like a couple of chapters had been locked down previously, but I am 4 chapters in. Act 1 is wrapped up and ready to go for revisions, which I won't touch until after I'm finished drafting. And so now I'm just going into Act 2. I wrote a little bit of Act 3, namely like the last line, which has been in my head ever since I first started writing this book, which is really unusual for me. And then just sort of like mapping out the climax a little bit so I know what I'm building toward. Again, I don't have as much of a solid outline for this draft just because I've been playing around a little bit too much. So I've definitely been doing a little bit of discovery writing for this draft. Some good things that came out of this: the characters feel a lot more fleshed out, the conflict is very, very clear and on the page, and I finally hit that sort of big change, break into 2 incident that really sets the story in motion. I feel like I have a really good sense of the main character as well now. She's like not a good person, which I think I was struggling with. I actually think I posed this question to my writing group a couple of months back where I was like, how do I write a character who is so different from me? It's not that I think I'm a particularly good person, it's just that this character is so grievously flawed, and the ways that she's flawed are very alien to me. Like she's so focused on material gain and ambition and clawing her way up the social ladder in ways that I've never even considered before. So getting into that headspace was a little bit like of a challenge, and it was exciting. All in all, this book is kind of a stretch for me. I've written adult, but it hasn't been this literary leaning. I've not really written a book that had a mystery element at its core, and that's been exciting, just sort of figuring out the pacing of reveals and how to set up that mystery and how to make it intriguing and not make the answer too obvious, because I like to think that the answer to this mystery, the resolution, is like kind of twisty. I mean, but only one way to find out, you know, is to finish it and have people read it. And yeah, all that combined with the main character, it's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm super excited to keep working on this. But takeaways from today: I could not be a full-time author. That is not for me, or at least not the kind of full-time author that writes the entire day. I think because I found that I was most productive sort of in that brief gap of time right after lunch from like 1 p.m. to roughly 3, I could utilize that and start to put that time aside for writing specifically on days that I don't have that much going on. Of course, it is hard because for people who work jobs and have school, that's sort of like prime time to be doing those activities. For the next couple days at least, I will have those hours free, and I think I will spend the time writing. So that's definitely one really good takeaway from today. Another thing is that I don't write well at night. I don't enjoy it. My brain is kind of frazzled no matter what I've spent the rest of the day doing, which kind of sucks because I feel like a lot of the time living my life, the most free time I end up having is at night. But I think honestly the takeaway here is that I just have to focus on writing earlier in the day so I can have my nighttime to do my own thing. have fun, enjoy my life, play video games or whatever else I want to be doing, watch a movie, or read. I think that's all really valuable because it sort of like energizes me, and if I'm reading or consuming media in some way, I'm usually learning or picking things up from media. I don't know about you guys, but I watch almost everything with like a learning mindset. I'm like, what can I not steal from this, but like take away? Like, how are they laying out this mystery, or how are they setting up these reveals, or how's the pacing of this? How are they adhering to or departing from 3-act structure? I'm just like kind of always thinking those things, which sort of does make me a drag of a watch partner. I've learned a lot of story lessons just from like watching silly Marvel movies, because those stick so closely to 3-act structure. It's kind of wild. Anyway, that was sort of a tangent. I am not gonna drag this vlog out much longer. I just wanted to say thank you for sticking with me through this journey. It was definitely educational, if nothing else. Let me know if you guys attempt something similar. I think it is something that is worthwhile to try at least once, just because, yeah, you learn a little bit about yourself and your habits and how your energy flows throughout the day. Tracking it with my word count tracker was a really good move on my part. I tracked each hour as an individual entry in this spreadsheet, so I know exactly how much I wrote each hour. I can see the breakdown and like how long it took me, because I would sort of like stop the timer usually around the half-hour mark and write down the time that I stopped writing, so I can sort of see my word per minute as well. All the math is very math. Okay, I think that is about as much as my brain can take, so I'm gonna sign off. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.